You're recording.
Okay, let's see. Let's try, we're going to try Draggah, Chapter 7. This will be a continuation, so Part 2. Draggah 27, Part 2. He knelt down by Rafe and tried to clear his mind. It was difficult. He felt like weeping in frustration. He was angry at Lexi for leaving him when he needed her most, and angry at himself for not making her feel like being with him was a safe place. He wanted to find her and beg her to stay. He needed to let her know that he would change, that he could include her in his decisions and not act so impulsively. He wanted to send the Rogu to bring her back to him, but that was exactly the kind of arrogant abuse of power that had driven her away. He put his hand on Rafe's bare arm. The skin was hot and feverish. Tiberius realized his friend was worse off than he had thought. Whatever Oliva had given him was masking the seriousness of his condition. Tiberius tried to clear his mind again. He focused on the words of the spell, bracing himself mentally for the power of the magic. Asias penetralis de primo sano crudus viscus. He said quietly. Okay. Oh, geez. Let's try that again. Asias penetralis de primo sano crudus viscus, he said quietly. The storm of power erupted around him. But this time Tiberius was ready for it. It almost felt good to feel the strength of the magic buffeting his mind now that he knew what to expect and that he could control it. He let his consciousness slide into Rafe's battered body. He could feel the aches and bruises from the previous night's battle. Rafe's chest was bruised, his forehead aching from the headbutt he delivered, and his shoulder was so painful that Tiberius was scared to move forward with the spell. He knew the corporeus adfectus would transfer Rafe's pain to Tiberius. The thought was a little like the idea of plunging his own hand into a smith's forge. It took Tiberius several minutes to work up the courage. Okay. When the pain hit, Tiberius clamped his mouth shut so tightly to keep from screaming that he tasted blood. Nothing had hurt like the dislocated shoulder. The pain wasn't just intense, it was constant. Tiberius was frozen for what seemed like an eternity in a battle to control the pain and the raging magic. He felt like he was on the precipice. He felt like he was on the precipice of a high mountain. On one side was the excruciating pain that threatened to overwhelm him. On the other side was the raging magic which threatened to break loose from his mental control. He had to stay focused and balance the two extreme forces. After a while, he let the healing magic flow into Rafe. Pressure built in his friend's ruined shoulder. Something needed to happen, but Tiberius didn't know what. The flow of healing magic only made the intense pain worse. He tried a different tack, letting the healing magic flow all through Rafe's body. The pain in his chest eased, the ache in his head faded, but the shoulder still felt horrible. It was as if there was something blocking the healing that the magic wanted to usher in, and the more he tried to heal Rafe, the more pressure and pain Tiberius felt. It was like a blockage to a stream was causing a flood, and Tiberius couldn't understand what was hindering his efforts. He let his mind delve deeper into his friend's shoulder. Tiberius felt the bulbous end of the upper arm bone and the gaping void of the shoulder socket. The muscles, nerves, and tendons were all stretched to the breaking point. Some of the ligaments and sinew had torn apart during the injury, and Tiberius could feel his magic pulling them back together, wanting to complete the healing process, but they were too far apart. Tiberius thought at first that he could magically grow the torn flesh so that it could heal, but then he realized if he did, it would leave Rafe crippled. The temptation to just end the pain was so great that Tiberius broke out in a sweat. He needed to move the shoulder back into place so that the magic could complete the healing process. Tiberius tried to move his friend's arm, but the pain flared to such an extent that Tiberius nearly swooned. He was breathing heavy. A crowd had gathered around him, watching as he tried to heal Rafe. They talked quietly, murmuring as Tiberius's struggle increased. Had to ignore them. He blocked out everything he could. His mind was starting to feel the strain. Tiberius knew if he didn't do something soon, he would lose his control of the magic, perhaps even damage his mind with the intense effort. He took a deep breath and yanked on Rafe's arm. Instinctively, Rafe's whole body moved, trying to protect him from the pain of the ordeal. Tears rolled down Tiberius's face. His body shook from the pain, but he knew he had to keep going. He couldn't just yank the arm. He had to pull the shoulder away from the body so that it could slide back into place. Tiberius raised his foot and put it against Rafe's side, just below the armpit. Then, taking another deep breath, he tugged on the arm again. This time the pain raged so white-hot that it was all Tiberius could comprehend. But just as quickly as the pain came, it also began to fade. Tiberius could feel the healing taking place. He continued to chant the spell quietly as he sucked in great lungfuls of shuddering breath. Slowly, the pain faded away, and Tiberius felt his friend's strength returning. He let the magic go, ending the spell and savoring the final pull of the magical power slip away like a gust of wind. When Tiberius opened his eyes a few minutes later, he saw bright silvery flecks of light around the perimeter of his vision. Almost the entire tribe was gathered around him. The sun was setting, and everything was quiet. Whew, I gotta take a break. That'll be it for now, okay?